Sorry, buddy, but according to these ancient texts, a Bodymeister isn't allowed in this space here.
What?
And please watch it. Don't let your shadow touch me. The channel is doing far too well right now. I don't want to spoil that.
Jai Shri Krishna, 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 Jai Shri Krishna.
You gotta love these traditions. Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Dennis the Bodymeister.
Servus, Freunde. My name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Dennis the Bodymeister.
And today's movie was once again picked directly for us by one of our awesome Masala Meister tier supporters. Vijay Akineni has already chosen a lot of modern classics for us in the past, and this time he recommended Deepa Mehta's Elements trilogy to us. Fire, Earth and Water.
Of course, we wanted to start with the first one, Fire, but unfortunately we couldn't find it anywhere in decent quality, so we ended up watching the third movie, Water.
Which isn't really a problem, because it's not like the movies are direct sequels or anything.
Water is a 2005 Hindi language drama that was written and directed by Deepa Mehta. It's a co-production between Canada, India and the United States, and the movie was actually shot twice, in English and in Hindi. The dialogue for the Hindi version was written by Anurag Kashyap.
Water was also nominated in the Best Foreign Language Film category at the 2007 Academy Awards, and due to the international co-production, it wasn't submitted by India, but Canada, which is somehow surprising when you hear it for the first time. But you know who won that year? Germany, with Das Leben der anderen, The Lives of Others.
Nice. Well, one thing that's not surprising in the slightest is that Water caused controversy, not only after its release, but also already during its production.
Deepa Mehta started shooting by the Ganges River in Varanasi, but angry Hindu mobs, consisting of Shiv Sena supporters, launched violent protests, demolished the set and the equipment, and threatened the director. So she was forced to shoot the movie in Sri Lanka instead.
After the movie's release, members of the Shiv Sena burned the DVDs and warned shopkeepers not to stock it. It's insane. But Mehta kind of already knew what she was going into, because after the release of Fire, which tells the story of a lesbian relationship, right-wing groups disrupted showings, smashed windows and burned posters.
Set in colonial India against Gandhi's rise of power, Water is the story of 8-year-old Chuya, who is widowed and sent to a home to live in penitence. Once there, Chuya's feisty presence deeply affects the lives of the other residents.
Sarala, who plays Chuya, is actually from Sri Lanka, and she didn't speak a word of Hindi or English. She managed to memorize and say the lines in a language that's completely new to her. Hindi also wasn't the mother tongue of Lisa Ray, who plays Kalyani.
I think the biggest shock, especially for a foreign audience, comes right at the beginning with the basic premise of the film. There are many layers that probably start with alienation and end with contempt and utter frustration. Arranged marriage is something rather strange for a Western audience, but child marriage is something else completely on top of it. And now imagine that the wife is only 8 years old and learns that her husband has died. A husband she didn't know at all, and because it's the custom in Hindu religion for the widow to spend the rest of her life in renunciation, an only 8-year-old little girl has to leave her family and spend her entire life far away with other widows. It's just utter madness.
A whole bunch of injustices are piled on each other here, and like you said, I think I was 5 minutes into the movie and I was sitting there like this, thinking, what the hell is going on here? It's deeply disturbing and touching what we see, and on top of that it's of course beautifully shot by Giles Nutkins, which gives this another kind of layer.
A marriage is a social construct created by humans, so that we can find good ways to live together in a society. But religion is also something created by human beings, and it's just so baffling to see how casually the most ridiculous, absurd aspects of it are practiced when it so obviously makes life that more difficult or even a living hell for many people. But of course, it's also always a form of control and having power over others. And there are several moments in the film where men are confronted with the notion that they interpret ancient texts in ways they benefit themselves.
And ignore laws that don't benefit them, which is openly said in this movie. And there's also this poignant moment at the very end when Gandhi says that it shouldn't be called God is truth, but instead truth is God.
Let's jump back to the beginning. Together with Chuya, we arrive at the ashram, the place where widows live among themselves, secluded from the rest of society. They are allowed to leave the place, but everybody looks down on them on the outside. Be it when Chuya wants to buy fried food, or when Shakuntala gets some water and she endangers a bride by almost touching her with her shadow.
Chuya functions as our way into this story, into this world. And I don't know about you, but at first I thought this is going to be her story. But the film seemingly shifts focus to other characters, and it becomes the story of Kalyani and Narayan, and also that of Shakuntala.
It reminded me a little bit of a Satyajit Ray film, especially because of the very old widow who comforts Chuya and tells her that she can call her auntie. The two of them later have this absolutely wonderful scene together when Chuya brings her a laddu.
Celebrating Holi is another one that stayed in my mind. And like I said, it's beautifully shot, and especially the production design feels so real and creates such a dense atmosphere. Of course, there's also the symbolism and the prominent use of water, and all the contrast it creates. The holy water from the river, the rain, the tainted widows.
Also this contrast between the beautiful images and this idyllic setting and the actual reality of society telling these women that they are inferior and need to be isolated.
There's also this strange dichotomy that many of these women kind of know that what they have to endure is total bullshit. But they've got so accustomed to it over all those years that they either actually started to believe in it or they just don't care anymore. But Chuya turns the house upside down.
It's a really great performance by Sarala. She's the heart of the story. But as we said, she's not the only character that allows a look inside. Of course, there are Kalyani, played by Lisa Ray, Narayan, played by John Abraham, and Shakuntala, played by Seema Biswas, who we had already admired in the movie Bandit Queen and who also gives a very heartfelt performance in this movie.
And I did only find out later that Narayan's mother was played by Vahida Rehman, who we saw in Guru Dutt's Pyasa and Kagas Ke Phool.
I think Water is a very good movie and of course a very important one because of the issues it addresses. But I also have to be completely honest with you. Despite all of its tragedy, it left me a little bit cold and distanced. While I enjoyed all the performances, I think I saw most characters more like instruments for the themes than actual real people. I think I just didn't get enough personality, especially from the love story between Kalyani and Narayan, and because the movie really wants to pinpoint its message down, it also felt a bit too constructed for me, and most of the really bad things happening were kind of obvious because of that.
You know, I completely agree. Water is told in a way that's slightly too mainstream. The drama somehow feels artificially induced. You can kind of read the pages of the screenplay by watching the movie. It feels constructed, especially all the aspects with Narayan's father and the prostitution.
Maybe it also feels a bit too soft and beautiful for my own taste for this particular subject matter. But nevertheless, it's a movie that leaves an impact.
Of course, yeah, and I definitely recommend everybody to watch it. There's one last aspect I wanted to mention, the wonderful score by Michael Danna and the songs by A.R. Rahman. The music fits the beauty of the movie, therefore it might be a bit too romantic or glamorous for some people, but I liked it very much.
Yeah, I think we can agree on that. So, what would we say in German about Water?
Wasser ist ein ergreifender und wichtiger Film, der eine grauenvolle, wahre Geschichte in wunderschönen Bildern präsentiert. Einzige Wermutstropfen sind die etwas zu konstruierte Dramaturgie und die mitunter fehlende Nähe zu den Charakteren.
I give Water 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.4, but I don't do that.
For me, it's also 7 out of 10. It's more like 7.3, but I don't do that either. Did you know that Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi and his wife Kasturbai Gokuldas Kapadia were both 13 years old when they married?
Didn't know that. Very interesting. So, what are your thoughts about Water? Leave a comment. You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd and also on Patreon, simply at The Jimmy Cage.
And you can hit me up on Twitter at The Bodymeister.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like. And make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.